Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Q&A show. My name is Bob Theriot, and I'm so glad you're here tonight. I have a really special guest, and I can't wait to introduce my audience to him. But for you guys that are here, I know it's 4th of July weekend. Everybody's out there celebrating and having a good time. So if you're here and you're watching this, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your weekend to join me here. But I'm telling you, and I promise you, it's going to be well worth it. If you're watching this show right now live, do me a favor and hashtag live. If you happen to catch the show in replay mode, later on down the road, hashtag replay. That also helps us out. And so before I get started, I just want to do a real quick shout out to our corporate sponsors, which is Innovair Air Conditioning. You guys know it's hot. We're in the middle of a heat wave. If you guys need an air conditioner, reach out to them, 915-352-3916. That's Innovair Air Conditioning. They'll give you a free quote, free estimate, and you can go to their website, keepcool915.com. So I wanted to let that know that we appreciate them being on the show with us every week. So before I bring on my next guest, let me just give you a little context about him. It's just really cool, the stuff that he's doing, and I'm really excited for you to meet him. He's a millennial, okay? So he's like half my age, but the guy is just killing it on social media, and he really talks a lot about mindset, and he's doing some really neat things. He's a host of a podcast. I'm going to let him tell you all about it. And let me bring him up, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to Mr. Josh Forti. And Josh, it's coming up right now. Hey, Josh, what's up, bud?
How's it going, Bob? Appreciate you having me on here, my man.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I'm really excited to introduce my audience to you. I know you're super busy right now. I've got a lot of questions for you, but why don't you tell my audience a little bit about you and what you've got going on right now?
Awesome. Well, I will give you the very, very condensed version of me. I entered the entrepreneur space, if you want to call it that, entrepreneur social media marketing space about 3.5 years ago, and got involved with Instagram. And so that's what kind of launched my career after several failed attempts. Instagram's the thing that took off for me. And so since that day, I've been fortunate to grow over 5 million followers on social media, grow and manage for myself and for clients, and generated several $1 million in revenue for our clients, coached just over 100 entrepreneurs in person, and then hundreds when it comes to speaking on stages and group coaching type stuff of that nature. And so that's kind of been my background there. I transitioned about 18 months ago or so solely from social media management to go from that to also incorporating kind of the broader umbrella of like mindset and success, which, for some people, like, okay, you go broader, you kind of get less shallow. For me, it was the ability to actually go in there and get a whole lot deeper on mindset, on identity shifts, on things of that nature, simply because I realized the importance of that when it came to business and when it came to being an entrepreneur. I am someone that, I'm in the education space of entrepreneurship and in the education space of business, not because it's profitable, but because I absolutely love it. I will, be in the education space long after it's a fad. I love teaching.
That's your passion.
That's my passion. I absolutely love talking to people. I love teaching. I love speaking. I love doing shows like this. And so, for me, I'm almost excited for the fad to be over, so that all the fake people can kind of get out, and so that we can get back down to the real business of everything with everything. So quick backstory on that. And I'm 25 years old. We have a Think Different Theory show, which is my backdrop here, our podcast, which is my journey through life, my journey through asking life's biggest questions and sharing the answers when it comes to being successful in all areas of life, not just in business, but in business and finances, in your relationships, in your health, and if you're if you're of, if you're of someone of faith. And so like asking those questions and sharing, and we're very specific with who we bring on that. A lot of solo episodes in there as well, but I only want to interview people that are worth interviewing, right? I mean, like people that are actually interesting. And then my goal with every interview is to make that person go, wow, you've brought out things from me that I've never shared before, right? Like I want a whole new perspective of their life. So that's a very short and condensed version of me. The highlight reel, I should say. I'm sure we'll kind of get into the low light reel here in a little bit, but I think that's what people want to know with my context and my story.
Well, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, you started on Instagram, right? That's where you had an agency with Instagram. Is that what you were doing, helping businesses, local businesses?
It wasn't local, it was
Okay.
online, but yeah, so we started, I actually had a business partner. We bootstrapped it. I mean, we were both, I
Mhm.
think we were both 23 at the time. He was a couple months older than I was, but I mean, we
Right.
bootstrapped it. When I say we were broke, I mean, we were dead broke. I was working, with a $20 a margin a month of paycheck to paycheck. And we just started an agency helping pages on Instagram grow. And it started with fan pages just because those were easier. But I mean, as we grew, we started to really move into brand pages. And when I left, the last like probably half dozen or so clients that I worked with were like bigger name brand pages. A lot of people from ClickFunnels and like stuff like that. So now, we transition to more high quality content.
Wow. And so you said you started early because you're fairly young. So, and I'm going to ask this question for all the guys, the young guys out there, the young ladies that are trying to start businesses. What would you recommend that they start first? Where would they start if they want to get into business?
As far as like
Digital
topic or like
marketing, or yeah,
skills or
digital
what?
marketing skills. Yeah, when you're looking at business, people have this thing. They see YouTubers, they see people doing well, and they don't know where to start. They're like, I want to do something, but I'm not sure. What
Yeah.
would you say? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say that, and this kind of is going to sound cliche, but let me kind of
Mhm.
back it up and bring some context around to it, right?
Okay.
So like in the world we live in today, we have access to, real estate, right? The online real estate, this phone, and it literally brings us countless opportunities. I mean, it's literally infinite, right? You can choose anything. You can become anyone. You can start any business. I mean, really, that's the reality that we live in today, which is phenomenal. It's amazing, but that's also a very crippling effect. Because now I can log on to Instagram, which has 1 billion people on it, or Facebook, which has 2 billion people on it. And I can get distracted by what everybody else is doing and think that, I can become the next Casey Neistat by being the next Casey Neistat, right? Rather than focusing on me and like what I'm doing, right? And so for me, like where I always tell people to start is I start by simply identifying my strengths and weaknesses. And my passions, right? Like, what are the things that I know that I like doing? What are my strengths that I know that I'm good at? And let me go look at some careers, or let me go look at some options of my literal millions and millions of things that I could do that would be in alignment with that. And, from a skill set perspective, I mean, things that are never going to go out of style per se or of demand are, if you're a good marketer, if you understand marketing, I think that that's a really good skill to learn. I also believe that, especially if you want to make a lot of money quickly, or you don't really care about brand so much, you're just looking to make money. I believe that sales is probably arguably the most important skill you can learn if you understand like sales psychology and things of that nature. And I think that there are core skill sets to look at, but when it comes to actually being like, where do I start? Start with what you are passionate about and what your skill sets and strengths align with. Pick one thing and then like focus on that for like a year and understand that you may hit the jackpot right away, but most people don't. I certainly did not. I mean, I had to evolve over time a lot, and that's okay because you start to learn so much about yourself and you're really developing your mindset to kind of become this person. One of my mentors, a very good friend of mine, but also like a mentor of mine who will be the mentor, I'm sure, for a very long time. He told me, entrepreneurship is the best personal development course that you never signed up for, right? And in order to become successful, one of the things that I learned on my journey to success as I started studying the mind and, the brain and how the brain worked is that like you have to actually evolve as a human, your identity does, in order to achieve success, because like who you are right now is not actually capable of becoming what you want to be. And so to figure out what you need to change and how you need to grow, simply taking action on a singular thing and moving forward typically tends to be the answer. And so there's not one singular answer that I believe is right. And so that's why I just tell people, hey, start with your strengths, start with your weaknesses, start with your passions, look at those, and then find something that matches that.
Well, I mean, that's a great answer. I mean, that sums it up right there in a nutshell. So I know you have a real intriguing story in how you got to where you are now with mindset.
Yeah.
Can you share with my audience a little bit about why you got into mindset? Because a lot of people talk about it and they hear the word, but I mean, you're taking it to a different level. So I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. Mindset's a super cliche topic, It's like, go get your mind right and you're going to be rich. You know what I mean? It's
Right, right.
and it's one of those things where, it's a big market, it's important, but what does that even mean? Right? Like, what the heck? And, so I had that same question. So for some context though, let's go back about 21 months. All right. So this is like end of 2017 timeframe now. I'm 23 years old, almost 24 at this point. Okay. My birthday's in February. And so this is like end of 2017. I'm a solo show at this point. I have sold my first agency and I am going and I'm hustling. Like I'm working my butt off and I'm working like too much, 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. And that's not an exaggeratory number. Like that's an actual factual number.
Right.
And I was making between $40,000 and $50,000 a month, which at 23 years old is crazy money, right? Like compared to where I came from. Right. And so like for me to be managing this, that's crazy. But I'm also blowing a lot of money because I'm working 18 hours a day and I'm trying to keep myself sane. Right. And I'm traveling everywhere. I don't know how to handle money. I grew up, we're thinking like $100 was a lot of money. $1,000 was a lot of money. And so I get to this point and I remember, Bob, I remember thinking it was like end of November timeframe of 2017. And I remember thinking something has got to break here soon, because I can't keep up like this, right? Like it's been months of this schedule and actually probably like years. But I remember just sitting there going, I'm too far in to stop. I've got clients paying me $5,000 a month and I've got like a dozen of them, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So, or not, they're not all paying me that much, but I've got money coming in and I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to systemize. I don't have time to learn. I'm just busy. I'm too busy for any of this. And I knew it was all going to kind of come crashing down, but I just didn't know when. And so fast forward, New Year's happens, all that, takes place. And are you familiar with ClickFunnels and like Russell Brunson at all?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Russell Brunson, huge inspiration, met him several times. I was at Funnel Hacking Live 2018. And I spoke at, this is actually funny. I spoke at a mastermind like prior to that, like the day before. It was called the Pre-Funnel Hacking Live Mastermind. And the guy on there, he brought me up on stage to introduce me. He's like, this guy has hustled so hard for content for you. He did not even sleep last night. And I didn't. Like the reality was though, everyone cheered like, yeah, commitment. The reality was like the reason I didn't sleep last night was because I couldn't, right? Like I had so much work to do. I was so stressed out that I was having to stay up and pull all-nighters even before speaking engagements, And so we go to Funnel Hacking Live. I get home. I have a quick stop in Chicago, get back. And I remember like going to sleep the night before it all kind of fell apart. And I was like, it's here. Like I know it's about to all break down.
Was this an emotional feeling that you were having, or was this emotions, or what was going on? It was all in your head, or you felt the stress?
Yeah. So it was all in my head, but like my identity was tied up in money, right? As long as I was making money, I thought I was okay. A terrible mindset on money and on success, all jacked up, and all very emotional in my head. But I also have anywhere from 70 to 100,000 followers on social media at this point for me personally. Right. So like my audience is following me and I'm like, I put out a lot of content. Right. So like, every day I'm posting videos and pictures and statuses. And so I'm doing that plus running this agency. And I'm like, if I break, my audience is going to know. And so like the night before or like the couple days leading up to it, I get back from Funnel Hacking Live and I'm like going into panic mode and I'm starting to prepare for this like crash. You know what I mean? That's like going to happen type deal. Like I can just feel it. And so I'm like scheduling out content and like trying to, batch out content or whatever. And I woke up one morning and it was just everything crashed, dude. It was just a mess. It was mental. It was all in my head. And I woke up, I wrapped myself in a blanket. I walked out to my living room. I opened up I have a little balcony that overlooks, where I live. And I wrapped myself in a blanket and cried, dude. I just bawled my eyes out for as long as I don't remember how long. And so I went from making $40,000, $50,000 a month to going, and that day I just sent out emails to all my clients and said, I'm really, really sorry. I have personal health issues, that I have to deal with. And I can't move on with you. And
Right.
I went from making 40, 50 grand a month to 3,000 in a matter of like 2 days. And I laid in bed for like 6 days straight. And only got out of bed to use the restroom and, get a bite to eat out of my fridge. And so it was at that moment, I mean, we're talking like the low of my life, right? Like, I mean, it was pretty bad at that point. And nobody knew. Nobody on social, none of my friends, not my family.
You didn't share. That was my next question. You didn't share it with anyone.
No one. But, and I look back now, I wanted to say it was because of embarrassment, which probably was that too, but it was more so because I had an ego the size of the size of the moon, right? Like,
right.
I was prideful, I was arrogant. I'm just turned 24 years old. I made $250,000 the year before, and I look at my life and I go, I'm broke. I mean, I'm not financially broke, but I'm like, I'm broken, And so at that point, laying there, I went, I got a choice to make. And if anybody's ever struggled with depression or like hit that low moment in your life, I've never been suicidal, and I don't want to play around with that because that's a very serious thing.
Right.
But at that moment, I understood why people got that way. Right.
Yeah, and you could feel that emptiness, why someone would even contemplate it. Right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I had never experienced that before. And so when you're like that, you're looking for anything to grab onto for hope, right? Like anything that's out there where you're like, what's going to give me a meaning or a purpose to continue, right? And so for me, I just looked at it and I went, okay, well, I'm not going to kill myself. Like I'm not suicidal. I know I'm going to live. So what's the next step? And for me, I looked around and all the gurus, right, were like, mindset's the answer. Mindset's the answer. And I was like, I legitimately, Bob, I thought I had a good mindset, right? I'm 24 and made $250,000 last year. Like,
you're self-motivated.
Right.
You know how to make money.
I know how to hustle.
Right.
And so I was like, well, clearly I don't know what mindset really is. And so I committed then to go studying the mind, to go studying what that looked like. And, thankfully I was able to go and live off savings for a while and make enough money to, kind of cover, expenses. And, I'd worked hard to get to that point, but it took me, a year almost. It was about 9-10 months before I really figured out how to really apply everything to my life. I mean, it was a learning block. It took me about 2 months to have my first major breakthrough with the mind and understanding mindset.
Do you remember what that was? What was that breakthrough?
Yep.
Can you talk about it?
For sure. So for me, like, I'm trying to just figure out why I am the way that I am. And that was, for me, it was a self-discovery phase, quarter life crisis, whatever you want to call it. And you start just questioning why you do things. And I'm like, why am I here? What am I doing? And so for me, as I was studying the brain, I remember learning the fact that 90% of who we are and everything we do, that we think, the way we act, 90% of all of it is in our subconscious mind, which means that 90% of everything that we do without even realizing that we're doing it. And it is affected by things outside of our conscious awareness. And that really hit me because this realization, not just hearing it, but actually realizing it and understanding that my environment and everything around me forms essentially 90% of who I am or / become was an incredible moment for me because all of a sudden I felt like if I could control my environment, then I could control who I became. Right. And that was a huge breakthrough moment for me as I went down this whole path. In fact, I wrote a book called The Mind Shift Playbook. It's not really a full book. I got it, by the way,
and I've gone through it, and it's mind-blowing, you guys. You have to download it. I'm actually, if you don't mind, you just brought it up right now. I want to go ahead and share that link on the screen so you guys can see it because you need to go get it because it's 100% free. There is no catch to this.
Yeah, there's not.
It's coming up on the screen right now. There it is. But go ahead and discuss it a little bit, Josh.
Yeah. thinkdifferently.com/playbook. /playbook. So basically, I mean, over the past 18 months, I've applied 5 core principles to my life. And step one of that was kind of that realization there. But these 5 principles I applied them into my life. I think a lot of people, when it comes to mindset and like transforming their life and all that stuff, they think that it's some radical transformation, right? That it's something, you've got to be super smart, you've got to have a lot of money, you've got to go through some crazy experience, you got to walk on fire, something crazy. When in reality, it's the little things, the core principles of it. And if you follow those, you're gonna be able to change your life. And these are the 5 principles. And so I took those 5 principles, I put them into a book, and my goal, it's not even a book, it's a playbook. It's 65 pages long, cover to cover. And it's then on top of that, it also has worksheets and checklists and some video tutorials explaining how to apply those in your life. But my goal is, how can I write and design something that is ridiculously actionable, that someone is actually going to be able to sit down and read? Like, you could read this in an afternoon, right? Like, it's not a heavy read, but at the same time, there is very actionable steps, and there's follow-up emails that remind you each day, like, hey, here's what we're on today. Here's what we're talking about. Here's what you need to be doing to help you go out and start to apply these 5 principles in your life. And I'll run through the principles here real quickly.
Okay, please.
The first one is the question of why. And the question of why is simply, the goal of it is to help bring awareness to things in your life and get down to the root cause of what's causing them. So kind of bringing things out of the subconscious mind into your awareness so that you understand what's actually causing you to do what it is that you're doing. Because until you identify the source, it's really hard to change. So that's the first part. Second part is this concept of objective thinking, which basically says removing emotion from our life or from our thought process to find clarity. I'm not saying forget emotion. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying to find clarity, to find the next steps, and to figure out how pieces fit together. Objective thinking is absolutely critical. And I'm sure you've probably experienced this. You can look at somebody else's life and you can know exactly how to fix it. But if you could be going through that same exact issue and you couldn't do it for yourself, right?
It's that all that can't see the forest for the trees thing.
Exactly. Right. So what you're doing is you're taking an objective view. You're saying, hey, let me remove my emotions, get out of my own head, and look at my own life objectively. So that's step number 2. That brings massive clarity. And if I were to attribute everything that I've learned to one single principle, which is impossible, but if I had to, that would be the concept. It was objective thinking. Step 3, or part 3 of the playbook, is identifying what you want out of life and figuring out the person that you need to become to get those things. It's a very important concept. Most people read it, they kind of brush it off and go, not that important, pretty basic. It's absolutely fundamental when it comes to understanding what it is that we are trying to do. Fourth part is the most hard part to apply, because it requires honesty, is identity shifts and figuring out my belief upon myself, how to change that perception of myself so that I allow myself to go out there and achieve success. Because if your identity, which is simply your belief about yourself, if that's all jacked up, if that's wrong, you can't do anything. And, I would go and I would try to make all this money. I'd make $50,000. And then, the next month I would spend 40 of it. And it's like, why? And it's because my identity and my perception about myself when it came to managing money said that. And when I shifted that, all of a sudden I could make $50,000 and keep $50,000, which is a total game changer, at that level.
You didn't have to fill voids by buying things, right? Your people buy things and they become shopaholics or whatever you want to call it. Just spending money, going out, partying, whatever.
Right. Yeah. And then the last part, which kind of puts all this stuff into motion, like the first 2 are kind of awareness things, I'd like to call it. The third one is a game plan, figuring out what the next steps are. That fourth one is actually kind of identifying what specifically the steps are and like going through that process, what it is that we're actually changing. And then the fifth one is doing the actual change, which starts with habits and understanding habits. There's 3 parts to every habit: understanding how those work, how to recreate them, how to break old habits. And I just applied these 5 things to every area of my life. And I went from that moment to, 18 months ago, fast forward to today, where I have podcasts, Think Different Theory. I went from, not talking to my family for months to going and having an amazing relationship with a lot of the people there. I have a pretty much automated agency anymore. I used to go and, have $50,000 a month and working 18 hours a day. Now it does $50,000 a month and I work about 2 hours a day. Have a team of 4 plus a business partner. So about 6 of us in that whole process of everything. Just totally fundamentally radically transformed my life. much happier person to be around, much more content and fulfilled, and just very, very blessed. And, I attribute that to, faith and mindset. I'm thankful to God for that. But,
Right.
God gave us a mind for a reason. And that mind is very powerful. And so when you understand that the mind is a superpower, it's an amazing thing. But if you don't understand that the mind is a superpower, it's going to put you in prison, and it's going to hold you there for a long time.
For sure. And you guys can see on the screen right there's the Think Different Theory podcast, and you can download that at iTunes. And where else do you have it? I got it on iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. There's like, I don't know. There's like
it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, my team does it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're over 70, almost 80 episodes now, right?
80. Today was 88, actually. 88, wow. 88th drop today. Yeah, and we just crossed. So we haven't done any paid advertising to it yet. We just started this week, which is super exciting. And we're just closing in on our 50,000th download.
Congratulations.
Super excited. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
So you guys, the playbook, go to that and get it, because you're going to just find so much value in that. Do you have anything coming up, Josh, where do you have any speaking engagements planned, anything like that where people can see you live?
Yeah, so we'll be down. It's not till October, so it's a little bit out there. But October we have. I don't actually know if this one's confirmed or not. So tentatively, BossCon with Rachel Peterson. I'm not sure if what the schedule looks like. That's in Minnesota. But the ones that are confirmed are Miami, which is the Real Talk Con. And so if you go to, I think it's realtalkcon.com, or just type in Real Talk Con down in Miami, I'll be speaking down there next to Terrell Owens, the former NFL wide receiver. He's the keynote there. So I'll be speaking next to him. And then also end of October, it's like the last week of October, there's a marketing cruise. It's called Modern Profits Cruise. So if you just type into Google, if you go Modern Profits Cruise, I think it's modernprofitscruise.com, and pull that up there. It's like a 4-day cruise with a bunch of marketers and cool. Speaking there. Yeah, we're going to like an island and stuff like that. So we're doing that as well. So those would be the places to get me there. And then I kind of like put my life on broadcast every day on Instagram. So like you get to know me really well if you just follow my Instagram stories.
Yeah, that's true. I'm immersed in it. Hey, and so you're giving a lot of stuff away, right? Isn't today the last day to register? Tell them what you're doing. You have a lot of prizes and stuff. This is cool. Just for downloading the playbook, I think you get entered, right?
Yeah. So if you download the playbook, we have prizes. We're giving away $500 cash, which is cool. But that's actually not the cool part. We have a bunch of different prizes. So along my journey to studying the mind, I read lots of books about the mindset and about success and whatnot. And so I have an entire, over here to my right, I have a whole stack of books, about 25 different books. So we're giving away copies of all those books. We're giving away 500 cash. We're giving away Apple AirPods, iPad, Apple Watch, a microphone, a podcasting microphone, all that stuff. And all you have to do is just enter before midnight tonight and download the playbook for free. There is no purchase necessary to win. Like, you literally put in your name and email. There is upsells on the back end, but you do not have to buy them in order to qualify. And then we'll announce all the winners tomorrow. If you go to thinkdifferenttheory.com/playbook, get the playbook, you're automatically qualified to win. We'll be live streaming it tomorrow over on my page. And you don't even have to be present to win. If we pull your name, we'll email you and we'll ship you out your prize.
Do you know what time you're going to be doing that live?
2 p.m. Central Time, I believe. I think is when it is. I think it's 2 p.m. Central.
Yeah. So here it'll be like 1 o'clock in this area, but everybody, there's a lot of people watching this all over the country. So, but that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on, Josh. Any final words? Any more inspiration you want to give the crew out here? Because I know I'm proud of guys like you that are really, you're a real entrepreneur. Like you said, you kind of alluded to the fact earlier, there's a lot of people that fake it till they make it, and it's just not real. And what you're doing is real, and you're delivering real value to the community. So it's proud, as a one marketer to another, I'm proud of people like you that are doing it.
Thank you.
That are not just, faking it. You're a real true entrepreneur. So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. It was awesome having you on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I would say, I think my final words to everyone would be, I remember sitting on the sitting in the crowd at Funnel Hacking Live, looking up at all of the marketers that are all the, the people that are on stage that seem to have it all figured out. Right. It is easy I've been told, at least. I don't see this, myself, but I've been told so many times that like it's easy to look at someone like me and be like, oh my gosh, I could never be like Josh, right? Like he has achieved so much by blah, 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 blah. I don't really feel like I've achieved all that much, but a lot of people tell me that. Don't get discouraged. I don't have anything figured out, right? The only thing that I have figured out is that I have committed to bettering myself every day and committed to not quitting. So if you've been at this for 10 years, or you are just getting started and this is day one and you don't feel like you've made it yet, or you don't feel like you're ever going to achieve whoever your idol is, right? Like, for me, it's the Gary Vaynerchuks, and, that was who I was after. Gary Vaynerchuk, Russell Brunson. I wanted to achieve that status, or Joe Rogan with my podcast.
Right.
They've been at it for a long time, and you only get to that level by continuously improving yourself. There's so many things that I don't do right. But the fact that I'm committed to just mastering this up here, not letting those things affect me, and continuing to move on every single day, continuing to say, you know what, today I commit to just do one thing better. I post every day on my Instagram story a quote that says, it's a great day to change your life for the better, right? Like every day I post that. Why? Because I'm reminding myself of that exact same thing. Nobody's got it all figured out. Your life can radically transform very quickly if you focus on something consistently for a long enough period of time. And it's the exponential effect of it'll be, and then all of a sudden it'll go like this. And I've seen it over in my career multiple times and in so many other people's careers as well. Stay at it. Understand nobody's got it figured out, and just continue to push at it and keep focused, and you'll achieve absolute greatness. But it all starts here. You've got to master this, or else it's completely worthless.
For sure. So focus and execute.
Focus and execute, man. Focus on the mindset, executing your actions.
Awesome. So how can they follow you, Josh? I know how to find you, but how else can they find you? What's your Instagram?
Instagram is my name, at Josh Forti, JOSHFORTI. So Forti, except with an I on the end instead of a Y. And that's going to be the best place. I'm very active on Instagram. Also the podcast, obviously, thinkdifferenttheory.com or thinkdifferenttheory.com/listen. Those are going to be the two best places. I do a lot on Facebook, but I don't reply to messages there. So if you want to talk to me, or if you have questions, I love hearing from you guys. I mean, I really do. Instagram DM is going to be the way to do that. Facebook is a great place to consume some of my content, but I don't reply to messages on the Facebook platform.
Yeah, kind of hard. I can imagine all the messages you get.
It's stupid. It really is.
Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. You guys,
thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Josh. And next week, you guys, next Friday, we've got Sean Cannell coming on.
It's gonna be good.
YouTube secrets. Can't wait to have him on. These young guys are really killing it, and I'm really happy for them. Josh, if there's anything we can do for you, please let me know. We're pushing you out. You're on the media page. You're on our Instagram. You're everywhere. So we want to see you just blow up. And
thank you.
Stay in touch. If you ever need anything, please reach out.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. And guys, Bob's awesome. This interview was great. I really appreciate it, my man. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, huh?
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. You guys, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Like I said, next week, we're going to have Sean Cannell, author of YouTube Secrets. If you are interested in YouTube, promoting your business, learning how to run your business, your brand, this is where you're going to want to be. Next Friday, 7:00, right here on the Q&A show. Again, I want to thank our sponsors one more time. Innovair Air Conditioning. Give them a call, 915-352-3916. You can also get an instant download, $250 if you go to keepcool915.com. Instant download, save some money, free estimate. You can text, you can call them at that number, 352-3916. Really good people over there, really good pricing, and great service after the sale. All right. You can't hear that often enough, but give them a call and they'll be happy to help you. I want to thank again, Josh Forti, for being on my show. Thank you so much, Josh. And until next time, you guys, stay focused, stay happy, and stay safe. Until next time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.